Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking all about unapologetically living your best life.
Yeah, so this is such an exciting topic just because I feel like for both of us, and I'm sure for many, many others, it's like we really work hard to create our best lives or to find the abundance that we want to build our dream businesses, and then we get it. And all of a sudden there's like this feeling of guilt or feeling of like I can't talk about it too much because other people are going to think that I'm, bragging about it or whatever. So yeah, we're going to dive into that today and just our thoughts on it. So
stay tuned.
I'm Lo.
And I'm Zoe, and this is
The Lo and Zoe Show. We're coaches and entrepreneurs who firmly believe that an abundant mind is the key to an abundant life.
On this podcast, we're going to be talking everything from how to manifest more money, travel, success in business, and beyond,
to overcoming the blocks that are holding you back,
to rewiring your brain so you can easily attract whatever it is you want the most in life.
If you haven't already, be sure to join us inside our Facebook community, the Queen Mind Tribe, for daily tips, mindset hacks, manifesting tricks, and more that'll allow you to build the confidence you need
to manifest the abundant AF life you deserve.
Now let's get started.
All right, guys. So as Laura just explained in the intro there, why is there this guilt around working so hard to create our best lives and then being around people and feeling like we need to resist speaking about it in order to make them feel more comfortable?
Yes, I think that that's the key thing is like we need to keep ourselves small almost so that other people don't feel small. Or if we show up too big the way that we naturally are, we are all very big people, but when you really step into that and you start experiencing abundance in your life and you start just getting happier and happier as your vibration raises, it's like, I don't know, just this resistance around sharing that with people.
Exactly.
And making them feel like less about themselves. And this is something I've really dealt with a lot personally because I am a very happy person. I'm very fulfilled day to day, but it took me a long time to get here and like a lot of like rigorous pursuing of what I wanted. And it's always a work in progress. But I got to this point just a few months ago that I kind of shared in episode 1, just where all of a sudden I'm just like so happy day to day, but I resist actually really sharing about that, on my Instagram, places where a lot of personal friends and family are following me because I actually have said before, like, there's just so many people suffering or just not being happy. Why is it that I get to be so happy?
Yes, but Laura, I think that's where you have to recognize that you are the light. You're leading the way for these people to find inspiration through you.
Yeah.
So you have to keep speaking your truth and stepping into your truth, because by you being the light, they're going to say, oh, I wish I could be more like Lauren. And then they're going to start taking action. What is Lauren doing that I'm not? And how can I get there?
Yeah. And I think that that's like, and I'm glad that we're talking about this topic because it's not like either of us are perfect at unapologetically living our best life. This is still something that we're working through, especially me.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important for us to talk about it and to share it. And I don't know, it's almost like one of those things that once you finally get to where you're going, you realize that you have these like success blocks or like blocks around being happy, and it seems so crazy. So like unless you've experienced it yourself, it's almost like that sounds crazy. I don't have success blocks, or I don't have like, I'm not going to feel guilty about being happy, and I never thought that I would either. And it's not, for the most part, I'm very like grateful, but there's also there's things that I don't share, or like a quote that I'll see on Instagram that I want to put in my story, and then I hold myself back because I don't want to make other people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I think I've definitely become a lot more ruthless about this, but I've been on the journey probably a bit longer. Like when I first moved to Rome, I can just hands down tell you guys, like everyone thought I was nuts, but I chose to be my own best friend. And then when things were sunshining on the other side, I just began to talk about them and talk about how grateful I was. And when I came back to Canada after living abroad for almost a year, I had nothing but incredible stories to tell about traveling, about my experiences, but it was hard. There was resistance there because I was going back to a place where people were still in their 9-to-5, still complaining about where they were in their life. And that's one thing that I left behind, was complaining about my life.
Right.
And that's where I realized there's a big difference here, because I have nothing to complain about because I did everything I wanted for myself. And I'm very proud of myself. So that's where I realized that some friends fell out of my life. Some people fell out of my life. And that's the way that goes sometimes. But in noticing that there was that resistance with sharing, I just realized, I still have to keep pursuing this path for me. And I trust that the right people are going to find me. And those are going to be be the people that I can share stories of travel with, share stories of business, entrepreneurship, manifesting abundance, really, and have it be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I think that just the topic of this is so, so important, where it's like if you're listening to this, it's because you are on the journey to finding your best life, to building it for yourself. And that involves this work that we talk about is not easy. It is confronting AF. And it is not for the faint-hearted. And most people, to be completely honest, would rather just skip over it and not confront what's going on. So I think for me, things shift in terms of my ability to allow myself to just be really happy when I realized I chose this and I have really worked for it and I've confronted what I needed to confront and continue to every single day. I mean, Zoe and I do mindset work literally every day, and it's not easy at all. And it can be very confronting, and it definitely comes with a lot of tears and setbacks, but we know that what's on the other side is so worth it. And I think what you were saying about stepping into your light, because that ultimately is the best thing that you can do for everyone around you. And when you are full, you have that to give to other people, but you also inspire it in them. Right. And if they're not ready for that, they're going to fall away, which is that's, I think, the part that I've struggled with is knowing that there are certain people in my life who haven't stuck around because they're, they just can't resonate with what I'm doing, or there's almost I don't resistance.
Think it's really that they can't resonate with what you're doing. I think it's because you are triggering them in a way that they subconsciously don't even recognize, because you're living your truest authentic life and you're not wearing masks. People have a really hard time understanding that.
Yeah. And often something I've said is if someone has an issue with what you're doing, or just an opinion about, let's say you are an entrepreneur and you have a business, if people have an opinion, it's always about them. And it is easier for them to have an opinion so that they don't have to they can say, well, she's starting a business, but you know that you might fail, right? 9 out of 10 businesses fail. That's just them saying, I don't have the guts to do this. And the fact that she means that I could be as well. Mm-hmm. But instead, I'm going to stack up all these reasons as to why I can or why it's not reasonable, and point that finger at you instead. So, and I totally recognize all of that. And I do feel I unapologetically pursue my best life, and I don't apologize for what I want or for going after it. I think it's more I sometimes feel resistance when I know that I have someone in my life who's maybe struggling with something or unhappy at their job or whatever, to be well, my life is just so great.
No, I definitely feel that too. Or I feel the resistance around talking to people about money and how much money you're making.
Right.
I find that's something that's very difficult for me, because I know most of my other friends are stuck in the 9 to 5 and don't exactly enjoy their
But even
life.
stuck is a story, though, right? We both had 9 to 5s and we chose to be unstuck from them, and anybody could make that decision.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So, but it's hard because, I find it difficult, and I was just told Lauren this, is I didn't want to go to my 10-year high school reunion because I felt like I was living a completely different life than everyone, and I kind of just felt like I was just going to be talking about or boasting, or not bragging, but I have really exciting things to talk about that I love to talk about. But I could see how, coming from a very, very small town, that could be quite triggering and just make me feel uncomfortable. I've always felt like an alien. So, this would only just make it all the more so.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing is people, especially if you are an entrepreneur or you're just on a spiritual journey in general, it's just so many people don't completely get it. And I think it's important for us to hold space for them to find their truth, and they will. There have been people who I just thought they're never going to get it. And then, that's me judging them, and I end up being completely wrong. And so that's where it's really important just to follow your truth. This is what the world needs, right? And so I definitely don't make myself wrong for sometimes being worried that I might be triggering something in someone else, or they might be I think that I have a fear that other people are comparing themselves to me and then using it as a reason to feel less happy about themselves. I don't want to be the reason for that, but that's only a couple of people, whereas for the most part I think it's much more about the people who exactly.
You're inspiring them.
Well, exactly. And that's really who you have to be living for, other than yourself, of course, but living for the people who are meant to, follow in what you are doing. It's like you give them permission.
Yes.
And this is where I think it's so important to be unapologetic in saying, I want the world and I'm going to freaking get it, because not only do you deserve that and you get one life, you might as well, actually, we always talk all the time about reincarnation. So we might get thousands of lives, who knows? But anyways, you only get one life in this body, in this experience. And it is really your duty, actually, to create everything that you want.
Serve yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, you know, if people appear intimidated around you, like whether that's like friends or even if you're dating or whatever else, people, let them be intimidated. Let them learn from you. Let them try to understand what you have that they don't. And if they're not willing to take you as a positive and powerful learning opportunity, then move on to the next, or just you keep being yourself, as we spoke about before in the podcast, and you will attract the right people to you.
I think that's such an interesting topic for women, especially, where they almost want to downplay their success because the old paradigm way of thinking is that men are intimidated or not interested in women who make more than them. And it's like,
I've definitely caught myself here.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And I've had that reflected back to me, but I also think like with the right person, like they would just like cheer you on. Right. But anyway, so it's like not just being unapologetic about pursuing your best life, but then also being exactly what you said. Like, if they can't handle it, they're not the person for me. And like, we got to stop downplaying. Like, I spoke once on my podcast, I had a woman who was like a communication expert, and she was big on mindset and really understood it all. And she said, what a lot of women do, entrepreneurs especially, is they'll downplay what it is that they're even building. And I realized like when this was back in the spring, and I said, I all the time say like, oh, I just have this like little online business, like coaching business, or I just have an online business.
No, like, that's you change lives. You change lives.
And it's like this easy way of just being like, it's like not really that big a deal, right? And we like so often do that, where we just downplay what we've accomplished. And it kind of all comes back to like the Queen Mind stuff that we've been talking about, but like own it, like step into it, be loud and frickin' proud about it. And people will have opinions, and like, okay, cool. Like it's I don't know. People I know who really are happy in their lives, they don't either they have opinions about what I'm doing, but they don't really care that much, or they just don't have opinion. They just like, they're just
it doesn't faze
happy
them.
For me.
Well, one thing I noticed about myself is like, I don't compare myself to others anymore. And I realized that it's because I'm so focused on my own journey.
Right.
Like if anything were to trigger me or have me feeling like an ounce of jealousy or something, I would recognize that to be a notification, and I wouldn't even let myself have an opinion of them. I would more so transform that into, okay, what are they doing that I'm not, that I could do to get to where they are?
Yeah.
Like, you know, whether that's like going to the gym or taking a certain course or doing something like that. Just live your life that way. Everyone's your teacher.
Yeah.
So just choose to make it a positive lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like honestly what the world needs more than anything is more people who are giving themselves permission to be happy and to go after what is going to make them happy and make them fulfilled. And you will have this ripple effect on the people all around you. Yeah. And if you're not doing that, I think there's a quote about there's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that the people around you get to feel, I can't remember exactly what it is. I'd have to find it. But yeah, and then it's your light, not your darkness, that most scares you.
Yes.
Or something. No, I can't remember what it is, but I'm sure people will remember the quote. But yeah, it's like there's literally nothing enlightened, nothing integral about pretending to be less than you are to make other people uncomfortable.
That's putting on a mask in itself. And I mean, like we said, we're still on this journey together, and as you become more and more successful and more fulfilled, you will notice these weird blocks come up in regards to your own success. Like, why wouldn't I want more happiness? Why wouldn't I want this? And then you still have to dig through them. We're all on this journey of working on ourselves, guys, and newsflash, it's never going to be over until it's over.
Yeah.
Like, we are always going to have to keep evolving. So just take the time to actively figure out what you're triggered by, or what just, you know, what somebody else might be reflecting back to you.
Yeah.
And work through that and just live your most powerful life, because we're all here to just shine our light. So just do it.
Well, and I also think too that it's like there's two ways of living your life. One is for other people, which is what most people do. And then one is for yourself. And there's only one of them that leads to being happy.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh, yeah.
And like the crazy thing too is that like nobody makes it out alive. So why are we all just
resisting
who
we really are?
Yeah. It's crazy. So I don't know. We're just here. This is something like we continue to work through. Definitely myself. But it isn't stopping me from like powerfully moving forward towards everything that I want, right? And so that's what we are encouraging you guys to do as well. And
be proud of yourself. You're allowed to be.
Celebrate
especially if you do the hard inner work. Like any of you guys listening to this podcast, we know you're doing the inner work. You cannot perceive what you are not the vibration of, so you're listening to this because you are just like us.
So I love that. It's so true.
You know, like
acknowledge yourself.
Acknowledge yourself. Damn right. Okay, like it's hard. The hardest thing you'll ever do is work on yourself. Okay, but it's the most fulfilling thing. So
and I bet like a lot of people listening to this are the people who do a bit of it every day, or a lot of it, or every other day. Even like it's a consistent part of your life, which says so much about the human that you are. And it's like just go all the way with it.
Own it. Shine your light.
Be unapologetic. Boss babe. Goddess queen. All right, guys.
Thank you for tuning in.
We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for spending a piece of your day with us and tuning into the Lo and Zo Show.
If you enjoyed this episode, please take the time to rate it and share on social media. Be sure to tag us.
Until next time,
stay abundant.